have you seen the new Square Enix policy regarding harassment of their employees and
Another
executives?
terrible company who constantly rewords divisions. They had an entire internal ethics department just a few years ago. They were boasting about it. And then last year they were hiring for it. They received a ton of backlash, and then the web page magically went away. That division didn't go away. They still have an internal ethics department and a censorship division that's, reducing the bust sizes of female characters, and they have cultural consultants and narrative consultants who are looking over developers' shoulders and telling them what they can and can't put in games and what's going to offend people. Square Enix has been a bad company for a lot of years now, and they do have a lot of great franchises and characters, 100%, but they're another company that is just constantly making the wrong decisions.
Should we tell him?
I was just talking to
Maybe.
myself. Yeah. This decision comes on the heels of other companies making a similar decision. We saw Sega make a decision like this. Level 5, not so long ago, made the decision to create a new policy where you cannot say bad things to employees and executives ever. That's really it. Square Enix Groups published a policy addressing harassment of its employees, executives, and partners on January 10th. And partners is the key word here, right? We're going to key in on that here in just a second. According to the announcement, there have been instances that constitute customer harassment, such as defamation, violence, and threats of Square Enix employees, which has compromised their sense of security. By the way, it hasn't compromised their security, but just their sense of security, which I think there's a big difference between the two. Square Enix warns that it will take action against any behavior determined to be harmful or exceed what is socially acceptable. According to who? That's the other thing, is like, what culture are we going this based off of? What's socially acceptable? Is this Japan? Is this the United States? Big difference in cultures. That means that in response to harassment and unreasonable demands, the company will cease to provide its products and services to offenders. In addition, if a user's behavior is deemed to be excessive or of malicious intent, Square Enix will take legal action, including criminal proceedings. And here's a list of some of the things. The company provides a list of following examples of customer harassment and socially unacceptable behavior here. Some of these are reasonable, like trespassing, right? You can't just like show up at an office if you're not invited to it. Right. I get it, right? But it goes back to, what is abusive language? What is considered intimidation? What is considered coercion, right? All these things, there's a lot of gray when it comes to this. I think we also saw Riot Games had something like this, where, specifically with their game, if you're playing their games on stream not too long ago. So, undue demand, unreasonable demands to change or exchange of a product, or unreasonable request for monetary compensation. So I guess the big question that comes with this is, are these only, let's say somebody's online and someone's really upset about a decision that they made. How do you actually execute on this? It sounds like empty threats, if I'm being really honest.
Yeah, you can't. There's no way that you can find every person's information for every individual that posts online about how Square Enix sucks or their partners suck. Now, that is really truly a keyword, because you know who Square Enix was partnered with? Sweet Baby Inc.
Ding, ding,
So
ding, ding, ding.
it seems to me that they're trying to create ways that they can silence people and censor people. I mean, this is basically just an anti-criticism policy. Now, we don't know for sure if they're still partnered, because a few months ago, Sweet Baby actually removed Square Enix from their client list, but only a couple of weeks later, they got rid of their client list completely. So we don't know, but they use the word partner several times in there, and that to me just screams that this was created because of Gamergate too, and gamers ultimately speaking up for themselves and speaking with their wallet.
And I think that always comes what this comes down to is speaking with your wallet. You mentioned Sweet Baby Inc.'s their involvement here. This is from Old Man Grimm over on X. He tagged us all, and thanks for that, Old Man Grimm. And this is actually in response to Hypnotic, and I think Hypnotic had a really great statement about this. Says this is the mainstream industry's final play to try to silence the discourse. They know the journalists are gone now and can't control the narrative. They know the speech is open and free now. They also know people will do videos on them and their company. The last action of a wild animal when backed into a corner is for a mega corporation to threaten legal action against anyone who they consider to be, quote, harassing them. What a joke. This will only make things worse. And
Yes.
I 100% agree with that by Hypnotic. This seems like a desperate action to save face with an employee who's like, I've been harassed online because they said they didn't like Final Fantasy, you know?
Yes.
But as pointed out from Old Man Grimm, says it goes deeper than that. If you read the article link, talk about the also partners, and there it is, Sweet Baby Inc., one of their partners. Right
There's
there.
also Black Girl Gamers who had partnered with Square Enix when Forspoken came out. And I see chat mentioning hit detection as well. I don't remember off the top of my head what hit detection worked on with Square Enix, but I know for certain Black Girl Gamers and Sweet Baby Inc.
Yeah, well, this is it's really interesting to see. I've said this before many times. When it comes to all this giant cultural shift that we're seeing right now, the opening of free speech, these companies who are going out of their way to go along with the administration, right? I think that the video game industry will be the last industry to really to move away from this.
Yes.
This because they were the first to adopt, and they'll be the last to move away from it for sure. Speaking of, Mark Zuckerberg apparently is on Joe Rogan, and that was posted, about 23 minutes ago. It has 100,000 views already. So
Wow.
that'll be very interesting to go back and watch. I watch a lot of podcasts. I think that's something like maybe we could do some podcast reactions on locals. I think that'd be fun to do. Where you sit down and watch a podcast with folks, get their reaction to that. So, wow, like, man, this is bizarre.
I'm just so disappointed in Square Enix because they have so many good games, they have so many good characters, they have such a big opportunity to make such a boatload of money, and yet they throw it all away because they want to ultimately not listen to gamers. That's what it really boils down to. If they were listening to gamers, they wouldn't have partnered with Sweet Baby Inks and Black Girl Gamers and Hit Detections. They would be creating the content that we want, and they take our criticisms to heart, but ultimately they don't do that. They're trying to stop criticism using cultural Marxism, and it sucks to see.
Well, I'll be very interested to see the response to some of these things that are happening in, specifically in the video game industry. I think you're going to see social media, specifically Blue Sky. I think you're going to see Blue Sky take off because people who need their safe space are going to be going there and just freaking out.